Bar. How are you guys doing? This is Bogey Brian here, and we're going to be talking about backhanded form. So the very basics of how to throw a backhanded shot with a disc. We're going to be going over what an X step is and the actual techniques that we want to use when utilizing the X step to get the most distance and use the right form when we're throwing the discs. Today I'm actually going to be utilizing a golf club. So that'll be definitely a key item for you guys to utilize when trying to practice your techniques. It doesn't have to be a golf club. It could be a stick, it could be a broomstick. It just needs to be any type of stick to be grounded and then be in your throwing hand. So before we start that, we're gonna go over what an X step is. Okay, so X step, what is it? It is the run up that you're gonna be using for your backhanded shot. So what we're going to be doing is we're gonna be taking a couple simple steps. This is more angled down to my feet so you can see my feet. So we're gonna start out right here like this. We're going to take a simple step forward, and the X part comes in here where your other foot's gonna come behind, and then this foot is gonna finish up front. As you notice, this right foot is staggered from this back left foot. I want to finish in this position because I want to be able to block my hips to stop me from over rotating forward. So when we're going through, if I ended up being flush, my feet are straight, I can over rotate too far to the right, and over so if I'm even further back. So if I'm further back, it's going to rotate even more over to the right. So making sure that this right foot is in front blocks off those hips and allows us to drive through and utilize our hips, which is a huge part of utilizing a backhanded shot. I'm going to talk to you guys about how I'm going to be utilizing this golf club. Like I said, it could be any stick. The reason why we want to use this is because a lot of people tend to do a reach back with their frisbees at the very end or with their discs at the very end. And we don't want to do a reach back. We want to do almost like the X step is like a cha-cha, and we want to dance around it. You know, we want to dance around it. We want to make sure that stick stays upright. So when we're doing our X step, we want to just hold it right here, and then we're going to X step around it. So you see how my stick stays up straight? It's because I am rotating around the frisbee, around the disc. I'm not pulling it back. So if I looked, a lot of people, what they do is they pull back last minute. So what it looks like is they're going right here and then they're reaching back rather than, you see how the stick dips? So you don't want the stick to dip. You want to be doing the cha-cha, the X step around the disc. So you're going to go bam, bam. So if you're having troubles with doing that and staying connected to the disc, it's probably because you're doing a reach back last minute. And you don't want to do a reach back last minute. You want to have your body rotating around the disc itself. So that goes over that. This is a great tool to utilize so that you can try and get used to those movements and make them feel more normal. Because if you're just out in the field and you're throwing a disc, it can get really hard to understand the movement. And you can be thinking to yourself the entire time like, hey, I think I am moving around the disc. But this stick definitely lets you know whether or not you're rotating around the disc or not. So yeah, try that. Try before you go out into your next disc golf course, or the next time you do a warm-up, try to utilize a stick and see if a stick will help you out with your form, help you out with consistency. I know that I utilize a stick quite a bit just because I can tell when I'm kind of getting off with utilizing my hips. Another thing, so if you are not a disc golfer, but you are let's say a baseball player, softball player, actual ball golfer, or a disc golfer, this next technique is going to help you out a lot. So utilizing your hips, utilizing your legs to actually get the power out of your legs and going out. So once we get down the X step, once we get down doing the cha-cha around the disc, is utilizing the hips. For the next part, we're going to be talking about engaging your hips. So like I said, if you're a baseball player, you're a softball player, you're an actual ball golfer, you're a disc golfer, this next tip is really going to help you out because this is a very common form and a very common issue with getting the most out of your baseball hits, your golf drives, or your disc golf drives. And that is engaging your hips. A lot of people miss that engagement when they're actually hitting the ball, throwing the frisbee. The biggest part about it is actually like dragging your hips in front and then coming through with the Frisbee. That's a huge part of it. And so what you want to do is when you're in your staggered stance, your right foot is in front of your left, you are popping your hips forward. An over exaggeration of it is great to kind of understand. When I'm warming up, I like to be in my stance right here, right foot slightly in front of my left. And I like to just kind of go back and forth because that's the movement that we're going to be doing. So back and forth. So this gets my hips engaged. I understand this is the movement that I want to be putting that power in my hips, and I'm going to be pushing off with my hips first before my arm even comes through. So it's hips and then arm coming through. It's really hard kind of getting that timing down, and it takes a lot of practice, but you just want to make sure you have that slight hip pop and then come follow through with your arm. And a big misconception is like tensing up, getting all like squeezing the disc super hard and like muscling it, we call it. So you're just like trying to rip it through, try and get the most distance out of it. But in reality, you want to kind of pretend like your arm's a noodle, kind of like it's a whip. So when you're reaching, not doing a reach back, when you're dancing around your Frisbee, when you're doing the cha-cha, when you finally get to this part of it right here, and your back, your arm's loose, your arm's ready. So you're just going to be coming through and just with quickness, just pull through. You're not yanking it through, but your arm's relaxed and you're pulling through. Kind of like as if you can just whip your arm, like you're getting a wet towel and you're trying to whip it really quick. You want that action, you want that whip action out of your arm. And you're not squeezing the disc super hard. The disc should be popping out of your hand because of how fast and how hard you're popping through. It should be popping out of your hand, which in a lot of disc golf videos, you'll hear people's like little like flick noises at the end because it's a snap noise. So you'll hear the snapping noises. It's because they're coming through with so much force and they're not letting go of the disc necessarily, but it's like popping out. So you get that pop noise, that snap noise from their fingertip playing off the Frisbee. Another big key thing that I never even went over, you guys, is how do you hold the Frisbee? How do you hold the disc? A lot of the times when you're doing drives, you're going to be doing a power grip. That means all 3 or 4 fingers are going to be curled into the inside of this disc, and that's how you're going to be holding it. You're not going to be gripping it super duper hard, but you're going to be gripping it hard enough to where it doesn't come out of your hand too early. It's not going to come out of your hand too late because your hips are already blocking, so you know where the driving point is. So let's put all that in action. Let's see what that kind of looks like. So like I said, we're going to be doing the power grip. So I have the power grip. I'm going to be doing the cha-cha around the disc. I'm not going to be going all the way up to the front and then reaching back. I'm going to be doing the cha-cha around the disc, the cha-cha slide, the X step. And I'm going to be making sure that my right foot is pushed out a little bit further than my left foot to block my hips off. And I'm going to push my hips through and then have my arm follow like a whip. I dropped my elbow. That's another thing I didn't talk about, elbows. My elbow was down through that throw. I needed to have it up so I can come straight and flat across. So that's another thing for me to work on. Like I said, average Bogey Brian disc golf. So we're not gonna be the best on the course, and that's okay. We have things to work on, things to build off of. Yeah, let's throw one more shot before we go. All right, so a lot of things to remember. X step, right leg in front as a righty. Your right leg is pronounced a little bit more in front. So whatever leg is in front. So if you're lefty, your left leg's just a little bit in front. But in this case, most people right-handed, right leg just slightly in front. To block those hips, we are X-stepping, doing the cha-cha around the disc. And we are going to, for me, keep our elbows up. Don't have it down here, have the elbow up to come straight and flat across. And what else am I missing? Hip engagement. Engage the hips before we even come through with our noodle arms, with our whip arms. With our nice whip arms. You hear that air? It's the whip. Okay, remember everything and try not to mess up and do a good shot. Can Brian do that? We'll find out. Cha-cha, real smooth now. Another thing is I'm throwing putters right now. Putters are a great thing to throw when you're doing out in the practice fields, because I feel like putters really show you where your action is. As far as like, if you're throwing a stable neutral putter, it's very telling as far as if you're turning it over, if you're hyzering it out, if you're throwing flat. They really tell you a lot. So when you're in the practice field, like, don't be afraid to just throw putters for a while and try and figure out like what your angles are, because they'll really tell you where you're at with your angles. Whereas like if you throw a driver and you're not like throwing fast enough, it can like dip out on you really hard, or you might not be able to get that like turn out of the disc if you're like accidentally turning it. And by turning it, I mean like if I'm throwing a backhanded right shot, I want it that's stable. So there's, like we said in the previous videos, there's understable, stable, and overstable. So stable just means straight. If I'm trying to just throw straight and it's a high-speed driver and I'm like turning it over, as in like it's going right and then coming back left, I might not see as much of the protrusion going right with a driver as I am with a putter, because putters will kind of show you a little bit more as far as the action of how your form is. So putters are a great tool to utilize. Not saying that you shouldn't practice your drivers, but I think starting small and working up, especially if you're working on your form specifically, putters are great. Putters are awesome. Use your putters. If you can throw a putter, you can throw anything. All right, well, this is Bogey Brian. We're concluding this backhanded tutorial session. Thank you guys for joining me up to this point. I really appreciate that. Any questions, feel free to drop a comment. If you think that I left something out in the backhanded tutorial, let me know and I'll try and address it in the upcoming videos. If you want to see me play a course locally in the Sacramento area, and by locally I mean like within an hour of Sacramento, then let me know and I can try and go out there and film it. I do film these videos as I have time. I do have quite a bit of things going on between a kiddo and a bunch of other crazy things, work and all that fun stuff, but I like to get out here and make the videos for you guys and hopefully brighten someone's day and help them learn a little bit more, or even just chill and watch a fun video. I just want to leave you guys with this at the very end. It's going to be a Bible verse from Colossians chapter 3 verse 23, and that's going to be, no matter what you do, do it with all of your heart, as if you're doing it for the Lord and not as if you're doing it for a human master. So do everything you can. Make the best out of each moment, even if it's something you don't like to do. Right now I'm struggling with work and trying to find motivation there, but every time I go back to that Bible verse, it makes me think, hey, you know what? We can be doing more, and I can do more in the eyes of God, and hopefully make Him proud of me in the work that I do, because I'm doing everything in Him and through Him. So anyways, peace out, guys. Have a great day. God bless.